What's good, guys? Thank you for joining me on this episode of the podcast, and we are in for a treat. We got a history lesson from the legendary BBOY Goku. Man, am I honored to be able to pick his brain and get insight on the culture, its history, and how he intends to give back. If you're a B-boy or B-girl who is serious about this dance, you definitely need to get educated on its history. And there's no better source than from the man who lived it. This stuff is just as important as the time you spend training for the next jam, so be sure not to miss an episode of the show, and especially not this one. So before we get into the episode, Charles, aka BBOY Goku, has a GoFundMe page set up raising money for a new studio. He talks about this on the episode and we get a bit emotional, but the vulnerability really showcases his passion and drive to support his local and international hip-hop community. The link to the GoFundMe page will be on the show notes page of our website, inthecypher.com, and it will also be linked on our Instagram page as well, @_inthecypher. I donated money from my own pocket after getting to speak with Charles personally, and I plan to contribute more as the weeks go on. I hope that after you listen to this episode and you get to listen to his passion for this culture, that you will also donate as well. If you're not in a position to donate now, then please share the GoFundMe page on your Instagram or Facebook or whatever you do. As you'll hear at the end of the show, any help is really greatly appreciated. Alright, and with that being said, let's jump straight into this episode jam-packed with knowledge, history, and wisdom. Let's go! What's going on, guys? Wolvie here, and welcome to The Cypher. On this episode and every episode of the podcast, I interview highly skilled and talented B-boys and B-girls, where they share their knowledge with you to help you become a better dancer. And on this episode, I've got the legendary Charles Montgomery, also known as B-Boy Goku, of the Soul Control Climax crew. Charles has been breaking for over 26 years, and during these years he has traveled all around the world to battle, judge, and teach. Charles is the owner and manager of Soul Control Dance Academy since 2008, providing youth breaking, tumbling, and many other genres of dance movement. He has dedicated his life to b-boying, striving to support dance communities all around the world, and nurturing talented dancers, all in the name of hip-hop culture. He values providing knowledge and leadership skills to his students in order to help build dance communities, promote self-confidence, and encourage a healthy lifestyle through breaking. Charles was a pioneer at the young age of 18 when he created several air flare transitions along with his crew, Soul Control Climax. Charles's career has led him to participate in many prestigious breaking events in the US. He has judged for Freestyle Session World Finals 4 times and will be judging for the Silverback Open for his 4th time this year. He has toured internationally to Brazil, Poland, and Vancouver to judge and showcase exhibition battles, and as a hip-hop ambassador for the U.S. Embassy, he has traveled to Tbilisi, I hope I'm saying that right, it's the capital of Georgia, the country, to work with the world-renowned Ill Abilities crew. In the fall, he will be touring with the embassy to Africa as well, so catch him there, catch him at the studio, catch him judging, or in the meantime, catch him here on the mic. Charles, how you doing, man? You ready to get into it?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much for getting on the mic with me. I'm so stoked to have you.
Yeah, man, no problem. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. This is not every day where somebody wants to listen, but thank you.
Hey, man, always, like I mentioned before we started recording, I'll try to peep the live streams whenever I can on Instagram, and yeah, you're perfect person for the show. You're the kind of people I want to have on the show, uh, sharing the right message in the right way,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cool. Where are you at right now?
I am actually in Fresno, California. I'm at my home studio. I have 1,000 square foot studio inside my home, and we've been here 11 years. I think we are the first breaking school on the West Coast, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. And you said that are you moving studios?
I'm in the process of doing that. I'm trying my best. We've had a little bit of setbacks because of financial reasons and personal family reasons, but I haven't given up, and I do plan on to move this place hopefully within the next 3 weeks.
Hmm.
But we need some serious support, and I can only do so much on my half where I can put as much of my extra money or my extra cash towards it and to move it. Um, but being the lead in that, sometimes that's just so hard to do it alone. And very, very blessed to have that going on in my life. I'm very active with my children. I am also just blessed to be able to support myself and spend so much time with them. That is the beauty in being able to be a teacher as well, an educator with breaking, because you got to put in time, and sometimes you don't really see it when you're putting that time in, but after 20 something years, 25, 26 years, those blessings just come, so I'm able to spend time with my kids and advocate for other things that I like, not just in my life but their life too.
Very cool. That's best answer I could get. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think being a parent's the toughest job, also the most rewarding.
Right, man. Well, those little ones, they keep me busy. They keep me busy. They keep me active. Yeah.
Okay, cool, bro. Let's just also get started by telling us how you got started breaking and when you got started breaking and some of those big influences when you're coming up.
Hey, man, Fresno was uh, just a melting pot of a bunch of different things in the 90s.
Hmm.
And I started in 1993. Um, our local Hmong community out here is basically our foundation for breaking. Um, we had so many uh, different cultures out here at the time too, like Cambodians, Laos, Filipinos, and Mexicans who I would say like were involved, but the majority was Hmong B boys, and there was not very many B girls at all, and that's
Hmm.
kind of sad because I'm headed in a way where I want to bring the female aspect of breaking these days to the forefront in my school, because I think that that's a balance. But at the time, it was just majority guys. Um, so, and I mean, the most legendary crews from here at that time was DIS, Smurfs, um, and the Wizards crew back in the day. You had so many great b-boys from those groups, and I mean, I could name about 10 of them off top. We had like Boone, we had Keebler, we had Lumpy, we had Johnny, we had LA, Chucky, man, we had Lou from the Wizards, we had Ta, Darmy, True, a lot of great names, man. And but there was one that kind of stood out. His name was Slow, and he was the leader of a group called DIS, and it's dancing in style. Um, and it just this guy, like, he saw that I had some potential, right? And of course, I was around my brother Pablo all the time, and a guy named Flip, aka Angelino Costello. They were the only two Mexicans that were involved with an all Asian crew. And back then, it was kind of detrimental to do that for yourself, because if you're Mexican, you don't mix with Asian people. Majority of the blacks and Latinos around here, we roll together.
Right.
So if a Mexican gang found out that you was rolling, if a Mexican gang found out you was rolling with Asians, you were going to be in a whole heap of shit, you know, language. But I mean, Fresno's also known not just for that we was heavy in gangs back in the day, and I'm glad that that slowly changed over time. And it's not as big as it used to be. And I'm going to say that because it was large back in the 90s. Think about what was going on in the 90s in society, man. You tell me how big it was, you know, and poverty areas. You know what I'm saying? Um, so being involved with these Hmong b-boys was a risk, and I got to give that to my creator, the crew's creator, Climax Angelino, because he took he was dealing with racial boundaries, man, that he had to break, and he showed his loyalty to his breaking crew, and they took care of him. And then Pablo was the second guy to be down with them, and then I was the third guy to get down with an all Asian crew out here. And you know, they treated us like family, man. So I just want to say thank you to the local Hmong b-boy crews from back in the day that really put us on. Um,
Yeah, it's
you
incredible.
know, yeah, it's incredible, man, and it's just so funny because I feel like my name kind of goes hand in hand with it, you know. And it's just you're being trained in these arts by so many different cultures and different people, and it's kind of like Goku traveling from different universe to different universe, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then what was the scene like back then? Was there a lot of breakers and a lot of jams?
I mean, not a lot of jams out in Fresno, but there was like a local hall, Asian
Hmm.
Village, community centers like Tetsu Wills, Holmes Playground, Mosqueda Center. That's kind of like where we all got our first start in these local community centers. And this is where we would meet and just kind of congregate and break together, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, there was big name jams like Radiotron in LA or Best of the Best in San Jose, California at Hank Lopez Community Center. And that's where like you would probably go to test your skills, you know, if anything. And, you know, of course, you had the little local gatherings or meetups where you would meet up at the community center and battle people. And that's kind of what we did. So, you know, Smurfs, DIX, Climax Crew, Wizards, like we all just met up and just battled each other.
Right.
And, you know, that's where I got to give credit uh, to everybody because that's where a lot of our growth came when we separated from the Hmong community. Angelino was like, you know what, I just want to make my own thing and do my own thing. And I'm going to make a crew. And, you know, what do you want to do? And,
Right.
you know, so Pablo, you know, walked over to his house and they made the decision to call the crew leader at the time and was like, hey, man, you know, we want to just do our own thing, you know, because we know that you guys are all like moving on in life and we really want to take this serious. We want to be better than anybody has ever been in this community. And we're going to say our goodbyes. And Pablo and him made their exit and they called me and they were like, what do you want to do, man? I was like, well, you know, like, yeah, of course. You know, I love you guys, man. You guys are my brothers. Yeah, let's do it.
Hmm.
Not that our original crews were not. Like, it's just the lifespan of like a Hmong b-boy at the time was very short.
Okay.
Um, you know, so we knew that we were going to be involved with the long haul, and I'm glad that Angelino made that decision to push forward and create his own crew, and us being co-founders of it. And at the time, we were called Fab Five, you know, because you know we were just different, man. We knew that we possessed something great, and it makes sense now because when it comes to the culture of hip hop, our crew is the most diverse crew in Fresno or Central Valley history when it comes to all people, all elements, everything. We are the most diverse crew, and without that man making that jump, we would have never been who we are.
Right.
And a lot of you know, so homage and respect to Flip, man.
Awesome. And would you say it was in those early days where you started to make a name for yourself? Was it battling these guys or calling them out in the ciphers?
You know, Flip got injured, so from that point, all he could do was be the silent partner if we ever needed anything.
Right.
And he ended up getting a job and ended up working his butt off. And when we were in high school, and he didn't have a lot of family, and the family moved away, so he had to basically support himself, which I'm very proud of because he has so much to say for it now. But Pablo became the unsung leader of our group, and my teacher, my biggest teacher at that time, and my brother, so it was basically me and Pablo, and then we had some extra additions like B-Boy Eric, B-Boy Marcio, Rudy, little Mikey, Martin, Angel, and a dude named Compton. We all were like an X, my boy X. He was actually one of the Smurfs.
Right.
Going against people like the Wizards, and they had large numbers of people, man. I would say like 20 people on one side against like a few of us.
Holy, okay.
Yeah, so like we and it just, those extra additions really helped us out because we were able to grow because we had so many different perspectives on hip hop in our crew, and we just learned from each other, man, and we backed each other up. And that's kind of where, me personally, being 6 foot tall, I'm taller than everybody. And I have all these guys to thank. Everybody I battled, I have everybody to thank. Why? Because they set the bar for me to become who I am. And sometimes I don't even know who I am in this community, but I will tell you, some people have reached out and said, "Hey, you inspired me," and those people that have reached out to me have these guys I've battled to thank, because I know that I've pushed the limits even with my size, and man, I had to compete with the best of the best, and that's the truth.
For sure. And what would you say differentiated yourself?
I got out of here.
Yeah.
I was the first B-boy to get out of Fresno, man, and learn from different people. So I got a taste of traveling. I went to Radiotron with my brothers, Pablo and Alex, and we went out looking for Jazzy J and Wicked. And we didn't look up to them, but we had people to look up to that had just as much skill as Wicked and Jay. But Wicked and Jay, I think, did something for me and Pablo that a lot of people will never understand, because sometimes when you look up to people, okay, and you're a kid, you find out who they are. And sometimes you either like them or you don't. Or you end up looking up to them so much that you don't end up growing. And Pablo said, "You know what? I think that they're so good." And I said, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "But let's go be better."
Right.
And he pushed himself, man, to battle Jay. And he was like, "You better get with it, man. Let's go." And I know at the time, like, Wicked was around different influences. He had so many different influences, and he was traveling, and he was just by far probably the better B-boy at the time, but I want to thank them because, like, we looked at, like, if they could do it, we could do it.
Right.
So we went looking for them in Radiotron. They weren't there. We're from a small town, small area, so we don't know what's happening within the breaking community, global community, and we show up thinking that this is where these guys live and this is their home base for battling and stuff, and they weren't there. But it was kind of like a blessing in disguise because I got to see Pablo go at it with Caesar in the Cypher for a little bit, and
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
him and Caesar exchanged some rounds, and we opened some eyes that day. And a lot of people in Radiotron were power move heavy, man.
Right.
And we're there in the presence of Air Force crew, and it's like you have so many awesome, legendary people that are in the room. And Man, I just was overwhelmed. And I met people like Ace, who became one of my mentors and teachers in breaking.
Hmm.
J Rock, Cujo, Barmac, Boback, Inferno, Chase, Little Richard, Monkey, Iron Monkey,
Right.
Stuntman, G Wiz, like all these amazing b-boys, man, all these guys who've contributed to this dance some way or another, and um, we made sure to make an impact before we left because nobody cared about Fresno, man. You know, and we got approached by the president of my crew from Soul Control, Barmac,
Hmm.
and Cujo and Chase, and they were the ones that basically were like, "Whoa, who are you?" And there's a story. Ace always tells a story to people that he was in the back room looking at us break, and he was like, "What the hell is going on?" And these guys are doing flare 90 flare 3 or 4 times in a row, windmill 90 flare headspin, with style. Headspins have style, man, and you could style them up. People knew you were disciplined within this shit.
Right.
And um, so yeah, we made an impact there, and if that answers that question, but that's basically from there. It was all she wrote, and we ended up hooking up with Soul Swift Soul Control, and I got out of here and ended up going to LA a lot of the times. Had a local friend who had a truck, and he had a camper on the back, and we were poor ass kids, so we would all put in gas. He would travel us from LA. He would take us to LA to Chase's house, and we get down and break over there, and then we found out that Best of the Best was going on, so we go up to Best of the Best, and we got our chance to enter Best of the Best 7, and that was
Hmm.
pretty epic for our crew at the time because the founder of the crew, the co-founders, the new additions, we all got to go, and Eric and Marcio ended up battling Style Elements in the final battle, and
Crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and I ended up entering with my boy Tyrell, Tiny,
Hmm.
from Delano / Bakersfield. Um, and that was one of the blessings that I got from meeting Soul Control because I was able to meet Tyrell as well. And that's a funny situation how we ended up talking, but we ended up losing. Well, we did beat Style Elements that day, but
Nice.
you know, that was like the greatest thing for us that day. But then they ended up winning the whole competition. They deserved it. J Rock and Crumbs, they really deserved it that day.
Right.
But we were just blessed to come from Fresno and make an impact in San Jose.
Right.
So big ups to Eric and Marcio for being the second place, but also just the Valley champs at the time. And it kind of goes on from that. Where I ended up going to LA more, hitting Radiotron 9, getting to see Soul Control beat Abstract Flavor in that. And then taking some of that inspiration and motivation and going back to San Jose, entering with Tiny once again, and then we become the undefeated Best of the Best 8 champs. Um,
Crazy.
right. And just going to the step ups and the apocalypse and, and Hank Lopez. Hank Lopez is such a big deal for us back in the 90s. Then ended up, I can't even forget this, man, but my biggest teacher ever in life is Sean Burgess, aka Mega Man. And I met Sean at Best of the Best 7. So being able to see him break with Soul Control at Radiotron 9, that guy was like God, man. Like, yo, and he's been my biggest teacher in breaking overall. So, been with me since I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And yeah, and I'm 39 today. And he still teaches me things to this day, even when it comes to hitting the floor. All my life lessons and just, man, has never ever forsaken me. Just always just finds the best things for me. And I think that without Sean, I probably wouldn't be as developed as I am in the dance and integrity wise. Like that guy is just he's up here.
Hmm.
And we should all be thankful too, as a community, for him in California. Like, he's such a big deal, and sometimes doesn't really get mentioned enough. But it's not that he's looking for it, but me as his student, I owe it to him to let him know, hey, listen, brother, thank you so much for what you have given to me and the whole family and the world.
Definitely. And that's very similar things coming from Matt Action. That's
I
my
mean,
as well.
and like, I'm always going to take the focus off myself when it comes to my teachers. That's just who I am as a person. Because when we look at the life situation of me as a kid and me as a teenager and then me as a man, there's always been some hurdles that I have to jump over. And I'm also blessed for having Matt in my life too, because he's actually one of my students as well. So
Hmm. Yeah.
we, me and Sean share him with so many other people, but at the same time, like, he's very important to me because I put in time with him, and Sean put time into both of us.
Right.
So we have to be able to coexist and just show respect and love to one another, and know that people share that so that people can see that this is a big family tree, and it's a great thing, because sometimes you don't get to see those examples within hip hop or in breaking.
Right. It's beautiful, man. Going back to I guess I don't know what to call it, the come up. You're just traveling and battling and traveling and battling, learning along the way. What would you say is one of the biggest lessons learned, or the thing that's had the biggest impact on you
When it comes to breaking,
when it comes to breaking, sure, or even with life, and maybe you can find a way to tie it back into breaking.
I would have to say, like, loss. Like, we've lost some very pivotal people within our hip hop community who
Mhm.
actually were foundation layers, and they were the premier to where people learned off of. So I think witnessing that and learning how to deal with it, and then persevering and being able to just still do what I do and have the same love for it, and passion for it, and also be sympathetic, empathetic towards a lot of people's situations. And I feel that those life lessons, or those things that have happened to me, have created me into a universal educator within breaking and hip hop,
Hmm.
because there's so many um, things that have happened in my journey that I'm able to kind of share with so many people, and I'm able to kind of like understand what they're talking about.
Right.
And when it's my turn to talk, and they're looking for some guidance, or they're looking for some leadership, I'm like, hey man, like, let me tell you something. Let me share something with you.
Hmm.
So I think being on this journey for 26, 27 years has only opened the door for me to help individuals who are struggling in some type of aspect of their life or their dance.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you still battling right now?
You know, uh, I've been talking to B-Boy Kareem about that. And, you know, um, he's actually a student of mine, but actually like my little brother. And, he's like, what's up, man? You trying to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it has to be very selective for me though, because I think I'm a pretty unique guy. And, I don't, I get the joy of just being able to touch the floor and be able to put in a good few hours every other week or every other day, and I get the satisfaction from that. And I've battled since I was 15 years old, man, 14 years old. So, and I've constantly won. But then I've had some very, like, losses that have taught me the most. And man, I'm so thankful for each and every battle that I've had, because there's a win, there's a loss, there's a win, there's a loss. And I don't know if there's a real need for me to battle anymore. Like, I know they say that, oh, well, if you a B-boy, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Yeah, you're going to put your name on the line. And I think there's only one battle that I'm actually looking for at the moment, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen,
Right.
um, but I'm always going to be able to express how I feel about that battle because it's important to me and it's personal. And, people need to understand that legacy and history and preserving things are very important because if we don't, then all we're going to do is just listen to a bunch of angry ass old people on the internet and develop history from that. And that's not what you want to do, like, would
Yeah.
you rather, and here's my question to you is like, would you rather hear Red Bull tell a story about somebody that they didn't know, or would you rather hear me tell you a story about somebody that I learned from or I lived with, and we want these real honest conversations, I feel, within the hip hop community to talk about and tell people,
Yeah, definitely.
like that. I think that's important. If we're gonna stay true to anything in this culture, right? We have to be honest with one another. We can't sit there and take detours or we can't do that. We have to be honest with one another, and it doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. Okay, like you got to be honest. So that's just where I'm at.
Very cool. Are you then judging still? Because I know some that's one transition a lot of b-boys make. They make their name in the scene. They prove their point. Won a bunch of jams, and they just start judging more and more and battling less. Is that where you're at right now?
Battling and judging and then teaching. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say that the judging part of me, when I had my opportunity to judge at Freestyle Session, I absolutely went in with the intent to do my best job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad. I'm thankful for my crews. They keep me full and they keep me wholesome inside because um, I don't belong to nobody else. So I don't have any type of biased uh, attitudes going into a judging job. I don't belong to anybody. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, so there's no reason to worry about me if I'm on the panel. And when I think about me as a B-boy, there's nothing that people can question me on when it comes to the dance because I'm a practitioner, I'm a student as well.
Right.
And I actually put the work out and I think, produce some of the best breaking that has been out. And that right there should tell people don't ever question him because he loves this just as much as we do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do have a question about, a certain battle or a certain call, best believe that I'm going to be responsible for it.
Right.
And, don't think that I'm going to run away from it. And you might be surprised because um, when you absolutely think that you got this all figured out, you just wake up one day and realize that there's more to learn.
Right.
And
Right.
whether you're sitting on the panel or not, or you're battling, you're going to be like, hey, there's more to this that I didn't know about. So even as a judge, man, we most of the time we're just like, wow, that was amazing. Wow, this is dope. Oh my God. Like we're all like starstruck about some of these youths, like, yo, like what,
Yeah. Right.
and I'm so glad that I've touched on a lot of the aspects of the dance and I'm still learning so much more. Um, and I'm fed, man, in my soul when I see some of these people throw down. But then there's those people where they feel like they deserve to be in my chair or they deserve to have that chair. I got to a point where I'm like, okay, man, you could have the chair. You want to judge that bad? Okay, you're hurting that bad in your life to where you need to talk about it. You need to express that to people that people are taking food off your table. For one, in my personal walk, I'm not going to let my children go hungry waiting for some judging gig. Not going to happen.
Hmm.
So if you don't have a plan outside of being a judge or a competitor, it might be time to just sit back and enjoy the ride and kind of work on something else, because that's just that's selfish. So
Hmm.
for me, I decided to put my energies and my efforts into teaching more, developing more of a curriculum and a syllabus for some of these students to learn. Also, just um, going to work too during the week, and making sure that I could pay my bills and things like that. You can't just sit around and wait for people to contact you, man. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
and outside of that, it's like even when you do choose events to go to, and at this point, I would say for me, I'm a world class judge now. So it's not like I'm just going to be traveling 400 miles for nothing. I can't do that. That doesn't make any sense for me. Um, I have to be able to, work that into my life and my budget as a man. Like I can't, I have life, so um, that's very important. And sometimes people will, disrupt their life by going to an event and then coming home with nothing. Like you can't do that if you have a family. You can't do that if you have students and you're teaching and you have a school. You can't do that. That doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
And then the attitudes that you get from young majority B-boys, you get the attitudes from young B-boys that they don't understand why they didn't make the top 16 or something like that. And it's like, yo, man, are you not happy to be here?
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what? Majority of the time is they're bringing something that's happened in their life to the dance floor, okay? But then they're just throwing that on the shoulders of judges sometimes, and it's like, yo, miss me with that, man.
Yeah, that's the
You know?
truth.
And I don't even like to use that cliche term, do your homework. I don't really do all that. I'm just saying, look, man, you know who I am. You know what's up. Like I do this. I love this. You want to talk outside somewhere? Let's talk. Like, and I'm going to give you my perspective, but people are going to look for some type of attention, some type of way. So, what is the first thing that they do? They go to social media and start running their mouth. So that's kind of turned me off to sitting in judges' chairs because it's not worth my time. And when you look at okay, if we were to look at it like face value of who I am, hey man, look, I've judged freestyle session 4 times. I've judged silverback 4 times. I've judged every local jam in my area. I've done these things for free. Okay, like I've been all across the country to judge events. Um, I mean, so there's a lot of this trouble is just not worth it, and it just disrupts my life, and I don't need that. Like I got to wake up and be happy for my kids and support them, and sometimes I get students that come in here that don't have enough money to pay for classes, so who's going to cover that? Me. You know
Wow.
what I mean? And
Wow. Yeah.
it's you have kids coming here fatherless, man. You come in here, you got kids that come to my place that are single moms with 3 children that are she's trying to do her best to get her kid involved with something that's not negative, and so who do they lean on? They lean on me, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's okay, but it just takes more smart planning on my end.
Right. And talking a little bit about, I guess the youth in these battles. Like, do you get called out a lot still?
Nah, nah. You know, the way people I think call me out is like they'll say some real smart ass shit online or something like that, and but it's very very rare. Let me first say that I am very thankful for those people that gave me the opportunity and the respect so that I can be able to judge. I think
Hmm.
that I didn't touch on that, and I want to say anybody who's ever seen my name on a flyer or on an event, thank you so much for giving me that opportunity to help you make your dance better.
Right.
And I think that I've experienced a few things, but not much. But I'm sure that some of my peers and people from my generation have suffered way worse things than I have. But that's why I always put the work out there. That's why you see me in here dancing, or I'll put a clip on my YouTube or my Instagram every now and then, and just show that I'm capable, and because I don't want to be that example that's just going to bark at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to, like, I want you to look at me and let my dance say something, and also say, yo, he's got a bite to his skills. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to bite back. So, but we need that fire, because that's kind of some of the energy that hip hop was built on.
Right. So do you, I guess, do you like it when B-boys are calling out judges when they disagree on their decisions?
I mean, yeah, it's a balance, man.
Like in the ciphers and like in the jams, not online or anything like that.
Yeah, man, the kids need that. The youth need that. I mean, it depends on how they're going to approach that person, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on how they approach the judge. Are they going to just sit there and run their mouth to the point where, it rallies up their troops, and they're like, yeah, they need their group to make them feel better, inside. And
Right.
I do. I mean, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you guys go a few rounds and he gets whatever it is off his chest, but it depends on the level of competition that's there. Like, who's there? How, if you're at Silverback and you got everything on the line, and you're in the top 8, I can see something popping off because of that.
Can you remember a time where you were in a position where you called out a judge?
I've never done it.
Yeah.
Me, it's different these days for me, because when I think about how I grew up and the amount of respect that I have for people in this community, like the foundation layers for one, and a lot of the original people from here, man, I lost to Flying Tortillas. That was the biggest one of the biggest battles of my life. And all I wanted to do was take a picture with them after,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all I wanted to do was just, speak to Storm and Ivan and Poe and Wicked and Dave and Demon Spirit, and be like, yo, man, like, I just lost to the best crew ever, which was like made up at the event. But I mean, nah, man. Nah, I mean, no, I never wanted to call out no judges, man. But at the time, there was no real judges when I was breaking like that. Like, it wasn't until like the late 90s, like 97 is when I started to realize. I mean, the first time Poe One ever judged the event was like 96. So when I think about that type of stuff, we were happy to go up against people like them. And there are childhood heroes. They're somewhat of our fathers in this dance. I mean, our big brothers. Like, why would you do that?
Yes. Yep.
And that was for the time. Now, I would say that, yeah, I mean, that helps the community grow. That actually helps this dance grow. And if that's how it was, like in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, if that's how people got down, it's cool, as long as we have some people to kind of bring the balance to the youth and teach them that, like, if you really want to go at it with the judge or something like that, you need to do it this way, handle yourself this way. I mean, you got to handle yourself a certain way when you walk in the street and that's not from your hood. You know what I'm saying? And it's just all about the level of respect. I mean, there was one incident where I was at UK Champs, and I'm just a hot-headed 19-year-old kid, man. And I feel like the experience that my crew had to deal with before the battle even started was pretty hard on us. Because we were dealing with some very influential names when it comes to breaking. We were dealing with some very immature people at the time, you know, but that was the past. And, you know, that I don't dwell on that. But yeah, I mean, we lost to Rocksteady at UK champs in the first round. And they did a great job, no doubt. It's just what led up to that is what really kind of threw a wrench in my program, because I am all about respect and I'm all about loyalty. And I could point somebody out when they're fucking doing some shady shit, you know? So,
Yeah.
but that's that street knowledge. That's that street game that, you know, some of us have. And when I look back on it though, it took me years to really try to understand that experience and not just focus on what made me angry, but focus on how I treated it or how I reacted. And I don't like my attitude, and I don't like how I handled that, even when I felt my crew was disrespected. There's so many ways to deal with it. And um, sometimes you just got to hang your head high and you got to just say, hey, well, you know what, man, good job, man. Thank you for the experience.
For sure.
You know, but we were dealing with a lot of hate because of like air flare stuff. And a lot of people didn't look at power moves back then the way they look at it now. You know, we wouldn't be no viral video on stance. I'll tell you that.
A lot of people wanted to ask you specifically these sorts of questions on judging, because you know the community knows how I guess experienced you are. Do you have any advice for some judges out there that are looking to you for maybe some actionable tips when they're in that chair and it's their responsibility to make the right decisions for the time?
Focus on what's going on. Focus on what's going on at all times. Try to have a level of professionalism. And I think a lot of people, they really don't understand why some of these guys are being hired. And it's just a level of professionalism that you have to have and behind your years of dance, you know, and nobody's taking your fire from you. You know, if you want to be a judge or whatnot, and, you know, you want to be able to sit in that chair, you have to have a level of integrity that is going to go with the prestige of the event, you know, and that's just where we are, you know, and you're not a little kid anymore. You know, you're in charge and you're responsible for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dancers. What does that say to you?
Mm-hmm.
Can you own that or not? You know, and I think being a parent has helped me with that too. And you know, when I'm, you know, in that hot seat, man, I do my best to actually like be one with the dancers that are putting their soul on the floor, because they're showing me who they are as a b-boy or b-girl. So I have to be connected to them in some ways. You know what I mean? And when it comes to judging, I mean, maturity is like a big thing, you know, for me. When I'm watching a b-boy or b-girl get down, there's got to be a level of maturity that you have in your dance that speaks volumes. And it doesn't matter what moves you do. It's all about how you hold yourself and how you carry yourself. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just how I see it.
Sure. You
And
mean like maturity in their style and the way they dance?
yeah, I mean,
Right.
you have to be seasoned, man, in areas now these days that it's not like you're not just going to be able to windmill head spin and freeze and get out of there and be like, I won. You can't do that. You know, you got to be seasoned, man. You got to, yo, Top Rock's got to be seasoned. I mean, when you look at the different levels of the dance, there's so many different things or little things, even in the mid part, from going from your top rock to your footwork. There's so many things that you can do within that little space. You know, I mean, using your abilities and just exploring the creativity, being creative. It doesn't matter. It's not about like who's a style head or who's a power head. It's about I would say the overall well-roundedness of what the dance has to offer. And are you tapping into that as a b-boy or a b-girl? If that makes sense.
Totally. It totally does. That's yeah, incredible answer.
And, and we have how many examples? How many examples do we have in this world now of greatness? And it's in our face every day. Model yourself after the 5 best people in your life. Model yourself
Mhm.
as after how many favorite of your 5 B-boys and B-girls right now, and you tell me you go after that right now. Go after a Rocks, right, man. Go after a Ives, man. Go after, all these dudes. That's what you want to do. Yeah, but if you coming at me just settling for the local dude and that you practice with, I'm sorry, you might not make it.
Right, getting fired up, totally.
All right, hey, contribute, give us something because we need it as a community.
Hmm. Beautiful, man. Would you say now these days you're focusing more on the education side of the culture and giving back to the community?
Yeah, and I think it's because a lot of the personal things that I deal with here in my city, which we have a lot of uneducated people to the culture of hip hop for one, and the way they look at hip hop is not the way in somebody that's you know pushing it forward would. And I mean, I think it's very important that these people understand that every aspect and every element of our culture is beautiful. And a lot of, I mean, their kids as heroes probably have something to do with this culture. Whether it's like music, dance, art, like it. We are inspiring the world. So I'm here in my community right now, just trying to do the last leg of my years in this dance in this community, which is I'm only giving myself a short amount of time, because hey, I need to be able to leave my mark, and I think the focus has to be here at home. And I want to move this school and be able to educate people, bring in pillars of the community globally,
Hmm.
and be able to say, hey, please teach my city, please teach these people about our culture and show them how beautiful it is. There's people that I want to bring. I want to bring Mr. Wiggles out here, man. I want to bring Ken Swift. I want to bring Storm, man. I want to bring like DJs, and I would love to get like Cope 2 out here. Man, he's a dope graph writer, like um these are some of my dreams and some of my goals. And I mean, even people that I probably have disagreed with, but love to hear what they have to say and see how they've built over time. And I've battled, and I'd love to get some of my students that are now world champions here,
Hmm.
because I do have students that are world champions. um, People I've taught, and I want them to share their stories instead of people just focusing on mine, you know. And then I want to be able to continue to just hit the floor for the rest of my life and not have any weight on my shoulders.
Yeah, totally. And this entire interview, I can hear the maturity and the experience in your words, and it's incredible. I'm really excited to see what's coming next with the school. Where are you at right now with the process?
Oh man, we are moving slow. Um, but I'm working my butt off every day, and every month, that my GoFundMe's up, I'm just donating a little bit of my own money, and I'm trying to not throw it down people's face or shove it down their throats. But when I look at the poverty levels out here in my city and after school programs, and when I think about like what these kids are eating after school, and it's just really important to me. It's really important to me because I think that our community in hip hop out here, we need it, man. We need more resources for these kids to believe in themselves. Like self-esteem is such a big deal within our community. You need that ego to survive and breaking. But you also need to learn how to balance it. And some of these kids, they don't have nothing to do after school out here, man. There's
Hmm.
nothing. You know, some of their parents can't afford the ticket, man, at these studios. What are you talking about? These studios run up a ticket on these families. Like, how are you going to pay your rent, dude? Like, how are you going to pay your mortgage with a $500 dance bill.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. So I'm Goku, man. I'm gonna find a way.
It was beautiful, man. And so right now you're planning to move studios, yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna move it. I'm looking at some spaces that are modest in size and modest in the rent, to where like if I get into trouble, I could fund that myself, you know. But there will be curriculum and a syllabus that I'm kind of creating from my own mind and my own heart, and trying to develop things and for these kids to kind of learn faster than what we did when we were younger, and keep them safe at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and but well fed in knowledge in the culture of hip hop. Doesn't matter what color you are, but you will be educated on who brought this to the forefront, which was the music. The music is what brought, I would say, hip hop together. You know what I'm saying? And that's not. I'm not talking about like the golden era hip hop that everybody refers to. Like, you know, I'm talking about before all that, like James Brown and, you know, jazz and things like that. And, you know, I think people miss all that, which that's very important, man. Like, some of the first steps of the dance too, you know, like we don't talk about that enough. You know, we just got breakdance teachers out there teaching the cross step and the six step. You know, we want more than that. There's more than that. And that's why it's very important for the local leaders in breaking the breaking communities to be educating, and not just letting these studios hire some breakdance teacher to teach an art that they know nothing about. I think it's embarrassing, and you know, we don't need that. We need to be respected, and we need to hire people that take this serious, you know. And if you're somebody like me, you should be able to find a facility and house the students, and actually create opportunity within your own students, and build just like the Gracies did. You know, you got to build, man. And once we realize that, I think the better we'll be.
Yeah, definitely. I know we talked a lot about I guess your story and your goals over the past what, like 20 or plus years.
Yeah.
If you could summarize it in a sentence or two, what qualifies you to be this leader in I guess what you're trying to create here? What qualifies you?
Oh man, that's kind of like that's a hard question,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think about myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard, because anything that I think about always goes back to the people that got me to where I am when it comes to me. Whether I battled you, lost to you, whether I battled you and beat you, you had something to do with my journey. And I appreciate that. So honestly, I really can't answer it, because I'm not done yet.
That's beautiful, man. And in a way that is the answer, and it's a beautiful thing, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited. After we get off the mic here, I'll be donating out of my own pocket to the cause, and yeah, definitely gonna like help push what you got going on here, because I mean it when I say it's a beautiful thing, because it is.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. We need more people to recognize that. And, you know, it's just, if I had it all, man, I would just give it all. You know, like I would just give it all, because some people like me, I don't know what to do with a lot. I just know that people need, and I've always been that person. And I gotta be real with you. And this year has been the best year of my life. And I didn't judge anything. You know, I didn't do the world record in air flares this year. Like you know, I think my highest record in 1990s was 1490s. But when I talk about 90s, I always talk about my history. And when I talk about air flares, I always talk about my history. And, you
Mhm.
know, it's just been the best year of my life, man. And I think after I got home from Africa last year with my teacher Cujo and my brother Lazy Legs, I had just overwhelming like sense of love that fell on me. And I just want to leave this with people. If you have not been to Africa, please go. Um, Invest there. Go see the youth there. Go see the people, and because that's where we all kind of derive from. That's where we are from. When I think about culture, when I think about us as a people, like human beings, and um, it was just a beautiful thing to go. And I learned so much about my teacher and my brother and just friends and family, and being thankful for what I have. And we really need to be thankful more. And that changed me for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very inspiring, man. Um, we're getting close on time here. This has been an incredible conversation.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah, 100%. Is there anything else that you want to put out there that we haven't touched on already?
I would say, like, just, I don't know, people that are coming into this, please have an open heart. Uh, if you're going to plan on spending years in this breaking stuff, um, please reach out to the people that have the best intentions for it, and stay true to yourself. And I know a lot of people may say that, but you have to really look in the mirror and ask yourself, how do I do that?
For sure.
And
Yep.
it might start with telling somebody, I'm sorry, or I care, or I want to be better. And when we talk about longevity and we talk about being youthful in the dance, that's where the fountain of youth is being able to look at yourself and say, I can be better, and I'm going to do it every day of my life. And if you can't do that, and all you want is to receive something without giving, you're just going to age. And that's my word, man. So, but stay fired up. Yeah.
Love it, bro. Yeah,
Hey.
if people want to keep up with what you got going on, and updates on the studio, lessons learned, and just to keep up, where can we send them?
You can go to Goku_Soul Control on Instagram. I have a website coming out soon. I think it's going to be SCMX hiphopacademy.com, or SCMXacademy.com. You could also go to my Facebook, Charles Goku Montgomery. Or you could just Google Soul Control, like, look up the history on Soul Control. And there's so many great stories that my brothers have, and they have a lot of great content of their own. And I mean, if you can't find me, you can always find Cujo. You could always find students of ours like Mad Action and spincontrol.co. That's another place where you can contact me. And there's a lot of great work. I'm just, I'm around, man. In Fresno, you just come and talk to people and they'll be like, Charles? Yeah, I know Charles. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to have on the website?
I'd like to have just history of myself and history of our crews, Fresno history as well when it comes to break-in, and history on a lot of the graph crews around here, DJs and B-boys, and even like funk styles too, because we're so rich in history with funk styles, like poppin' and boogaloo. I want people to be able to go to my website and look at it like an actual school. We'll have our schedule on there, our instructors on there, myself, like I said, and just highlighting the students and the kids in the community, things that we're doing, working with the community, or, whether it be like food drives or, something like that, given, what car washes, who knows if we're just going to, do things like that. There'll be updates all the time on it. So, just keep an eye out for us, and there's no rush, but, I'm here for the long haul.
Awesome. Let me know when the website goes live. I mean, you have my full support, and we're small now with the community we're trying to build here, but you have the support of all of us, man.
Hey, man, and it takes that to be successful. So, and likewise, man.
Beauty, appreciate it.
I want to say peace to all those schools and academies that are developing themselves and doing great work in their communities. Special shout out to the Breaking Academy out in Las Vegas, the Knucklehead Zoo. They got the zoo. Break Free. I want to say peace to MAB out in Detroit, Motor City Dance. I know Check It has something out there. I know there's so many other people all over. And, like people even on the other side of the world that are developing these dancers and educating them. And, thank you to them because, hey, we need it. And peace to the Massive Monkeys for, having their school going, the Beacon.
Nice.
I mean, being here 11 years, I've seen a lot of different schools pop up, and being one of the first schools that our country has ever had in my home studio. I mean, hey, not a lot of people know that, but just good luck to you guys. Peace. And if anybody ever needs anything, I'm Big Brother Goku and I'm here. All right.
Beautiful. Guys, you've been hanging out with Charles, aka Goku, and your host Wolvie. Head over to inthecypher.com, search Charles or Goku in the search bar, and his show notes page will come up with everything we have been talking about today. And it is a lot of stuff. This is a heavy, jam-packed interview. Probably gonna spend another 2 hours after this, after we end our call here, and just looking up all these different names that you mentioned. And I'm excited for it, to be honest.
Hey, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you, man, for putting the time aside and sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. And this is an incredible opportunity for everyone that gets to listen to this. You will for sure reach and inspire many B-boys and B-girls around the world today, and for the years and years that you're going to be doing this. So today we got to learn from one of the greatest, and I really hope to have you back on the show, man. But until then, we will catch you in the Cypher.
Yo, peace, 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 peace.
And that's a wrap. Goku, Charles, thank you again for joining me for this episode of the show. I'll do my best to include everything and everyone Charles has mentioned on the show notes page of our website. That's inthecypher.com. I may need to create a separate blog post just to fit everything. But be sure to check out Charles on YouTube as well. That's Goku SCMX. He actually has a bunch of really great videos, including some older battle footage and a dope video paying respects to B-Boy Pablo, pioneer of the continuous air flare. Dope video, be sure to check it out. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the GoFundMe page for the studio will be linked on our show notes page at inthecypher.com. and on our Instagram page at _inthecypher. Definitely give Charles a follow on Instagram too, at Goku_soul control, to keep tabs on the studio progress and everything else he's got going on. If you tune in now, I think he might have a new puppy. Thank you once again for checking out the 10th episode of the podcast. For the next episode, I plan to do a recap of the 10 episodes and interviews that have taken place, some big takeaways from each of those, lessons learned. So I'm really excited about that. I will also announce some new projects and the direction of the podcast for the future on that episode, which I'm also really excited about. I really hope to connect with you, the listener, more. So any way I can do that, please let me know. For now, you can reach me directly through Instagram DMs at InTheCypher or in the YouTube comment section in the Cypher on YouTube. And that's it. I'll catch you guys there, or I'll catch you in the Cypher. Take care. Peace out.